Hi, I'm Whitney Myers, the CEO of Zuar, and we help you turn your data into revenue. And today I'm going to be talking to you about the rise of data democratization, what the value is, and what it means, along with kind of two common pitfalls that can stop you in that journey. So, if you are looking to have a more modern approach and you're wondering, how can I begin to give access to new users, new communities, and really create a more data driven organization, this video is for you. So, let's dive in. So, first, let's talk about what is data democratization. It is truly the concept that you treat every worker in your business as a data worker, in which you think that in order for them to do what they've been hired to do in this company, that they need access to the right information in the right way at the right time. This is a shift from maybe some legacy ways of distributing information, in which normally there was a concept of like a data specialist that was essentially a gatekeeper, in which all information was in one place. And they were kind of the keepers of data. And if somebody else needed a question answered, the process was to submit a ticket or a request. A special team would come up with the answer and then send back the result. And while that may have the greatest degree of accuracy, because you are only allowing specialists to do specific tasks, the latency, the frustration, and sometimes even the relevancy of the answer is not always, a lot of times it's not always there, and it's sacrificed in that process. And so whenever you think about a democratized approach where you instead say, I still have specialists, but now I'm asking them to be data stewards and data custodians. They are now going to be responsible for, instead of creating all of our analytics and answering all of our questions, instead we're asking them to be in charge of creating flexible data models that are aliased, annotated, defined, accessible, and optimized for analysis. And that is the core responsibility. We are now separating out the actual analytics aspect and saying, how can I then give access to all of these other teams and departments so that they now can access these data models that are ready to be able to ask and answer questions. So the benefits of doing that obviously would be that you no longer have this concept of kind of a siloed approach, that whenever somebody has, very kind of what I call like a quick and dirty question, they can build a quick and dirty visualization in which they are able to ask and get an answer almost immediately. So it leads for faster response times, faster decisions, but also it starts to create this kind of universal lexicon in which everyone in your organization is now talking about data, whether it be KPIs, OKRs, or like actual like specific data points individually, that it normalizes this and socializes it, so that even in addition to like intentional efforts you're going to have around building a data-driven culture, there is this kind of unintentional continuation of people talking about information with the expectation that they both have access and can do something, pair it with, but they also should have access and need to be doing something with it. So it is essential, if you would like people to both be empowered with greater ownership, but also pick up that torch and take a greater ownership of their role, this is absolutely essential, because there is nothing more empowering than actually being able to say, I identified an obstacle, I'm now able to overcome it. I have a question, I'm curious about something, and I was able to turn an idea into action. I saw a problem and I was able to solve it. I saw an opportunity and I was able to build a plan and seize that and show growth and demonstrate value. Especially if you have anyone in your company that is kind of self-proclaimed or by others as a change agent, fueling that fire of curiosity, so that you can really have a group of coworkers and employees that are very invested because they also know that what they're doing has meaning. Like, this is absolutely essential. So with that, let's talk about 3 pillars of a data democracy. In order to do this, you're going to have kind of 3 things. I've mentioned the first, where we're talking about this concept of like a data model. And so you need to have some type of data governance in place. And it means understanding the security guidelines and restrictions around some information and truly segmenting that. And that is okay to be siloed. Payroll information, confidential client data that can only be shared by certain authorized parties, that should 100% be restricted. But for other data that truly is just like company information, coming up with a plan of how do we give governed access where we are both creating these models, validating them, but then also monitoring and actually truly becoming like the stewards of this information. The second is another thing I've also mentioned, which is pairing that with a user-friendly business intelligence solution. This can take a variety of kind of shapes. Some organizations decide to have one singular approach. Others tend to have different departments choose and select different solutions. I would say the common denominator is you need to make sure that it is going to empower your users the way that you need them to be able to access. The final one, and it is, I think, the one that probably gets overlooked the most, and that is if you're truly trying to say, how do I, create a data democracy? I have governed sources, I've purchased a BI tool, we're good to go. The third pillar is absolutely the most important, and that is investing in people in order to establish a baseline that can grow around data literacy. So just like if you create a data model, you need to sanitize it, clean it, optimize it for analytics, because you should expect information that has never been used before, probably isn't ready to be used without some effort. You should expect the same of people. If you have never asked members of your organization to look at information and understand what actions they need to be taking from the insights that they're seeing, you should be expecting, if you've never asked that of them, that they may have to be trained on how to do that. Which means whenever you're investing in people, there's kind of 3 types of trainings you need to do. One is in the actual data models themselves. What is there? Naming conventions, access, how to sign in, what to do with it. Pairing that with training on the actual business intelligence platform. So how do they use it? How do they access it? How do they save? How do they share? If there's any kind of best guidelines or practices around templates, again, naming conventions, where they're stored, but also how to use that solution. Those are 2 things that most organizations are prepared to invest in. I challenge you to also invest in a third type of training, and that is around data literacy, which is actually making sure that your team members understand not just how to query information, but what type of questions they should be asking. And not just how to share a dashboard or report they've made, but also what does it mean to get an insight and then have a second or third layer of curiosity and what you're actually meant to be doing with this answer. Because for some members of your team, this may be a new muscle. And so with some training on this is how to actually interpret some of these visualizations. This is how to know if this is a good or a bad result. This is possibly how to know if you should further investigate if this is an outlier versus a trend, and also what you should do with this type of information whenever you see it. That investment in people, in order to make sure that there is a baseline of data literacy amongst all of your workers that you can then build upon, may in the beginning seem like this feels like a training in which I'm just telling people what to do with information they see. But I guarantee that investment, making sure that there is that established skill set, it gets people up to overcome probably the hardest part of the learning curve. And so then when you pair that with a BI solution that can then access the data model, they already are equipped with, I now know how to ask and answer questions and what to do with what I'm seeing. So we covered a lot in this very short video around what is data democratization, some of the values, and kind of the 3 pillars of it, along with some of the obstacles you might encounter. If you would like to talk more with me or a member of my team, you're happy to reach out to us at info@zuar.com, Or you can go to Zuar.com and reach out to us either on our chat or through our contact us page. We would be happy to both advise you on a best approach. We also have Zuar Labs, a professional services team that can help you with some of these trainings, in addition to the Zuar platform, which has both Zuar Runner, which can pull data from multiple sources into a singular place optimized for analytics, and Zuar Portal, a way for you to stand up your own analytics HQ in a matter of a few hours in order to give people a really good guided and informed experience. So if you'd like to learn more about that as well, or just get help in establishing a data democracy of your own, please don't hesitate to reach out. We look forward to talking to you.